Okay, so I've come to Battersea Park once again. It's the fourth of 4 races here at Battersea, 5k races. I did the first 2. I came second to both of them. I went 14:56 and 14:47. But this one's slightly different. I've shifted my mindset. I've started my Berlin Marathon sub 220 training block. So yeah, I did a sneaky little session this morning. So definitely not arriving fresh. But hey, sometimes strange things happen in running. So let's go out there, give it all we got. The legs will most likely feel it. But let's be positive and give it a good crack and see what we end up with. Go!
I'll be keeping this video as informative as possible, but just have a feel about what this race is all about. That start line, adrenaline and nerves, just never gets old. As discussed earlier, my sub 220 Berlin Marathon training has started, and I felt like I really wanted a bit more volume in this evening's 5k race, hence why I did my 10 by 500 meter session in the morning. I knew it would fatigue me for this race, but 5k is not the goal now, marathon is the goal, and I need to snap out of my comfort zone and push my boundaries if I'm going to break 220 at Berlin. Having said that, prior to the start, I reset my mind and I'm approaching this race with a full send mindset. On this activity on my Strava, I asked what questions would you like answered. There were some really good questions, so I'll discuss those throughout this 5k, and I also want to discuss what heart rates you should be pushing to in each kilometer of the 5k. I've got a bit of company right behind me, as you can see, and Callan just in front of me. He's a tiny bit too far in front for me to catch. The margins in these 5Ks are so tight that if I try to push hard to close that gap now, you can see it's not big at all, but if I push too hard, I'm going to pay for it later on. Remember, if you can work with those around you and conserve a bit of energy, share the load, then I highly recommend it. But the number one rule to a 5K is always run your own race. It's a short distance and you don't want to look back with regret. Don't hesitate, back yourself and trust your decisions. Here we go through the first kilometer in 2:56, a bit quicker than I originally anticipated this race would be. And if we continued this pace all the way through, that would give us a 14:45 kilometer. At the end of the first kilometer, your heart rate should be around 87% of what your heart rate max is. So already at this stage, you're over your threshold zone, but that's as to be expected with a shorter distance race. Now let's rewind a bit. How do you get to your heart rate max? I've actually found that the best way for me to do this is in a 5k race like I'm doing now. And remember, you need to be running with an external heart rate monitor strap, either around your chest or around your arm. If your watch has a built-in heart rate monitor, they're really accurate for when you're static or sleeping, but as soon as sweat gathers underneath, they become inaccurate. So get that external heart rate monitor if you're tracking heart rate. If you're looking to do a quicker test than an all-out 5k in order to see what your heart rate max is, then this test could work really well. Find a hill that is long enough in length. Run the first minute at a steady tempo effort, somewhere around 7 to 8 out of 10. And then for the last 30 seconds, give it absolutely everything you can. Empty the tank and then come back and see what your heart rate max got to. Once you have these figures, you'll see throughout this video, I'll give you percentages and you can go back and reflect on whether you're working hard enough or whether you work too hard in the beginning or not quite enough. Just also remember that the fitter you get, the more you're able to sustain higher training zones. Your body and muscles develop over time and your body's able to hold higher zones for longer periods. Okay, back to the race quickly, and this gap is killing me. It's probably only 2 seconds. It's quite short, but I know if I close it, I'm going to end up paying later. It's just out of my comfort zone. Okay, now on to the next question that I get fairly regularly. What warm-up should you be doing for a 5k race? So I'd probably recommend about 10 to 15 minutes of easy jogging. Once you finish that, definitely look to do some drills. Things like high butt kicks, high knees, crossovers, hip opening and closing the gate, those sorts of things. Once you've done that, look to do about 15 to 20 second strides, really getting your body into the swing of things. Remember, strides are short bursts of speed, so you're working hard enough to warm the body up, but not too hard to fatigue you for the race. Once you've done this, head across to the start line. At the start line, don't just stop, your body will cool down. You want to sort of bounce on the spot, stay activated, stay warm, so that by the time that gun goes, your body's loose and ready to go. Remember, you need more of a warm-up for a 5k compared to if you're running a marathon. Warm-up and cool-down is almost as important as the race, and for cool-down you can just do once again an easy jog followed by some static stretching, and don't forget to get that post-race protein in to start that recovery process. Here we go through the second kilometer in 3 minutes dead. There's a guy about 4 seconds in front of me, someone about 4 seconds behind me, but no ways are we slowing down. We're just going to run our own race. Towards the end of the second kilometer, you should be probably at around 90% of your heart rate max. Remember, these indications are for slightly more experienced runners. So if you're just getting into running, you'll probably find that you might not be able to hold this for as long, so you can reduce the percentage shown in this video. Then on to the next question, what shoes did I run in? The last time I did this 5k, I tested out my Pro Evos, but I'm saving those for special days. So in this race, I ran in my go-to, my Pro 3s. I pretty much run anything from 1 mile to 5k, 10k, half marathon, marathons in the Pro 3s. Let's just take a moment to appreciate Amy's epic filming skills dodging booms and rollerblades. Kept the camera going on the race the whole time. Wow, that was impressive. A really good alternative to this in the Adidas range for shorter distance racing and shorter distance tempo sessions is the Takumi Sen 10. Here I am coming around for the first lap, and I can feel the morning session and we are in for one hell of a lap to go.
Good job, Callum. It's Nick Costa, second place. Good going, Nick. Nice going, nice going. 1 lap to go, 1 lap to go. Good going, guys, good going.
1 lap to go, let's go.
You heard it, 1 lap to go. In my mind, I really want to close the gap, but physically, it ain't happening today. It's also worth mentioning that if your 5k race is on a hilly route, then your heart rate's not going to be constant. The best way to approach that is to run the uphills steady. Don't surge them, don't fight them, because you won't be able to take advantage on the downhills when they come your way. You'll probably find that on the ups you're working a little bit harder and your pace isn't as quick than on the downs where it's a little bit less effort, but pace comes a bit easier. Try your absolute best to just keep that effort constant throughout the race. Here we go through that 3rd kilometer mark in 3:01, so we're averaging just under 15-minute pace, but you know what's coming up, that evil kilometer 324, ha ha ha. At the end of kilometer 3, I'm working at around 93% of heart rate max, and often I find this the hardest part of the race. You're tired, the body's feeling fatigued, those demons are flying through your head, begging you to slow down, and you've still got 2Ks to go, a fair amount. So kilometer 3 to 4, if you nail this one, then you're on track for an incredible time. Another question I got was, how do I mentally break the last 2Ks down in a 5K? Basically, the way I do this, it's pretty simple. In my mind, the last kilometer never counts. So basically, this is the last kilometer. I give it almost all I've got. Subconsciously, I know I've still got to get to 5Ks, but you can always find something when you can see, taste, and smell those finish line feels. One thing that also helps me is that I'm really hurting at this stage of the race, but just know that the person in front of you, next to you and behind you is probably hurting just as much, if not more than you are, which just makes it a little bit easier when you know you're in it together. Here we can hear Amy's bike chain struggling to get into its gear, and that's probably what the inside of my chest sounds like right now. Okay, under 1 mile to go. This is what you train for, the business end of the race. This guy over here started his rep as I came past, but hey, nice to have a bit of company. And we're about to lap 82-year-old Peter on the route, who's going to tell me I'm in position number 2. Thank you, sir.
Number 2.
My heart rate has now hit 180 and I'm working the hardest I have throughout the 5K. I know come Berlin Marathon in 9 weeks time, my mind needs to be fully switched on at 100% in order for me to truly believe that I can break that sub 220, and everything I do from now on then is to make me mentally tougher. So even though the pace is slowing down, I can feel the fatigue kicking in. There's no ways I'm giving even a second to this route today. Let's give it all we've got. Come on.
Solid effort, Nick. He's not too far ahead.
Thank you very much for the motivation. Okay, through the 4th kilometer mark in 3:06. That kilometer got me once again. I'm slowing a little bit. Sub 15 I know is now probably off the cards, especially the way I feel. But once again, we're not giving up. We're not quitters. Let's go all the way to the line. At the end of my 4th kilometer, I'm at around 96% of my heart rate max.
Oh.
Remember, the park's not close to the public, so even though you're seeing stars, you need to see the bikes, the people, the dogs, everything that jumps in your way. Be mindful of it and really concentrate and focus throughout. Okay, just 800 meters to go, 2 laps of the track. I'm going to keep quiet so you can hear how hard I'm working. Come on, Nick. All you've got, all the way. Come on, boy, push. Look out for the near miss coming up.
Whoa. Final push, come on Nick, let's go. Let's go, final surge.
Here you go. All the way. Nick Bester finishing second place, all the way to the line. 15:07. Good going, guys. All the way to the 10.
Oh boy, second again. It seems to be my position. Do you know what? Honestly, all things considered, 15:06. I'm very happy with that. Like a session this morning, that almost means as much to me as my 14:46 last time. Yeah, I would have liked to have closed that gap. He was just ahead of me, and I felt like fresher legs I could have, but the lactate was just building, and I just couldn't close that gap. But anyways, such good training nonetheless in the bigger scheme of things, and I'd rather fall over 15 and under 220 in 9.5 weeks time. So we'll take the positives. Hey guys, I'm with Peter from London,
who's 82 years old.
82 years old.
He feels a lot older.
Woo, that's impressive.
In our usual position, last place. But you know, the sands of time have caught up with me, and I put on a bit of weight, and I have to pass the baton to the younger ones now. And I'm still doing it, only just. But you get my good side, aren't you?
82 years old, Peter. If I can do this at 82, I'll be very, very impressed.
I did do 75 marathons.
Wow.
And 150 halves, did over the years, but you know, your body slows down. I'm grateful to be alive at this time, let alone doing this.
Amazing.
I'll do better in the future.
Well done. Proud of you. Congratulations.
I feel well done. Thanks a lot.
250 meters to go.
I'm there.
See you at the next one. Cheers, Peter from London. Boom shakalaka.